Hi there, everybody. How are you? My name is Trace, and thank you for tuning into my channel. Global warming is what we're talking about today. The more PC version, climate change. It's already begun to change the face of our seasons, our weather, our climate, our coastlines, our farms, our urban plans, our bridges, our highways, our shipping lanes. Literally every aspect of human society has to consider global warming now. We can all see the data, and it's pretty clear that the climate is warming our planet fasterly in a more pronounced rate than any time we've ever measured in history. And we have measured millions and millions and millions of years, and yet a lot of people are just doing nothing about it, or denying it's a problem altogether. And this is why I'm really glad that mega-rich human Jeff Bezos is contributing many billions of dollars to help solve the problem. But the real question I have, 10 billion is a lot, but is that enough? How much money would it cost to fix global warming? Is it even fixable? Is this whole thing stupid? I have a lot of questions, so I called a friend who's looked into it more than I have to get some info.
Hey Trace, what's up, man?
What's up, humans who have to live on this planet just like me? I am Trace, and I thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to watch this video. As you can see, I'm in a new studio. It's very similar to the old one, but it's not the same one that I left last month, and I am still unpacking things. I'm settling in and figuring out how things should look. So this week's video is gonna be more conversation than full narrative like a normal video. Thanks for your patience. I'm really excited for some of the videos I'm working on. For example, if anyone has a football field that I can film on, please let me know. Comments, you got the Twitters, my DMs are open. Anyway, quick refresher for those just joining us here on Earth. The climate has been regularly variable for the last few million years, driven mostly by major Earth events or space events. However, this advanced primate evolved on the planet and realized if they burned fuel, it would do the work for them. Eventually, these primates kind of took over everything, and a few hundred orbits ago, this exploded into what they call the Industrial Revolution. Even back then, there were primates that knew releasing all of this carbon into their thin atmospheric blanket would change the way that the planet trapped heat. Today, global warming is on everyone's mind, or it should be. Whether you're thinking about severe weather, warmer winters, hotter summers, the Australia fires, Vanessa Hill's single-take video about eco-anxiety, the current presidential candidate's interest or disinterest in the whole topic, global warming is literally everywhere. And two-day shipping magnate Jeff Bezos has pledged, yay, to create a fund that will help us reduce the carbon burn and solve the problem. But as I said before, is it gonna work? Is it gonna matter? I thought I'd call someone who knows more about this than I do. He started a show called Hot Mess. He started a show called It's Okay to Be Smart. You probably heard of him. His name, Dr. Joe Hanson. Joe!
Hey Trace, what's up, man?
How's it going, buddy? Just living on a hot planet.
Warmer than it was yesterday.
So, Joe, you have talked a lot about global warming and climate change. How did you learn about global warming?
I mean, like most people, it was in a textbook. I heard about it in class. But when you start telling science stories, you start realizing there's this one big thing that connects to all the animals and plants and people on Earth, and that is the climate. It is the big, little shell of air that we all get to live in and that lets us exist. And people that I would speak to started telling me, it's much worse than you're hearing in the news. It's much worse than most people are realizing. And we need to do something about that.
The reason we're talking today is that one of the richest people on the planet has said he's going to contribute a small part of his large fortune to making climate change go away, to help fix global warming. And $10 billion is the most that anyone has ever contributed to this goal. A number of philanthropic organizations got together just in 2018 and they said, $4 billion, we're gonna give $4 billion to climate change. And it was a bunch of organizations and everybody was like, holy crap, that's so much money.
Whoa. Yeah, and Uncle Jeff comes in, he's like, here's 10. And $10 billion, he's worth something like $130 billion. He's giving like almost 8% of his total worth here. And that's huge on its own. A guy like Bill Gates is giving like 2 or 3% of his annual worth every year. A guy like Warren Buffett, same thing, like 3 or 4%. Very few people are doing things on the scale of these. Like most are in the tenths of percentages for billionaires. So this is huge. Like we got to give the guy credit for coming strong. It is like truly one of the worst abstract problems because I don't know about you, I can't see air. We do just experience weather. We don't really experience the climate.
It's hard to wrap our heads around it. And
And one thing that I like to do is break problems into smaller problems.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really tough problem because what it truly takes to stop emitting carbon and to reverse what we've done to the planet. I mean, we're talking like take a mobilization like World War II and get even bigger than that. I mean, we're talking about a whole new like industrial revolution scale change here. It's like I can't do that on my own. But the frustrating part though, like, and I think that the thing that gets to people and makes them feel kind of powerless and anxious and almost like frozen and afraid is that they realize that, wait, what does not running the water do? Like, what does turning off the lights when I leave the room do in the scale of something so massive? And that's why we need massive level change, and like how individual people and massive level change meet somewhere in the middle, I think is the most interesting problem in climate change today.
But what exactly, could $10 billion do? Let's say 10 billion is the spark that lights the fire. Maybe that fire is bad for the climate change, global warming, but you get the point. So I don't think 10 billion is going to make the technological world any better, but it will hopefully, be to use kind of an inside government thing. It may be more of a soft power, like hearts and minds kind of thing. We're going to help people understand how powerful they can be. We're going to help governments and we're going to help organizations get funding to be able to go out and actually make systemic change. Like that $10 billion, that is going to go a lot further than $10 billion to make the latest gizmo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care how many Teslas you could build for $10 billion. That's not going to solve this. It'll make the roads look cooler, but I'm pretty uncertain about thinking of something we could invent or a technology that we could develop or a thing we could build that can get us out of this problem. What makes me a little bit nervous about seeing Jeff Bezos on his name on this, because when we're dealing with a problem of this scale, $10 billion can't build the things that we need to build in order to do that. It can't even. They've said that they're actually not going to be seeding private investment even in companies. Like, this isn't an investment fund for venture capitalists to go build some new billion-dollar company of their own. This is for work on the ground. So $10 billion isn't going to build the invention at the scale that we need to solve this problem. Where I see $10 billion can make a difference is in the parts of this that are going too slow. And that's the will of governments and large groups of people and other companies and nonprofits to drive these things from the bottom up. And I think $10 billion really can make a difference there, doing this kind of bottom up, forcing these big systems up top to do something. It's going to take like the most powerful people on Earth devoting resources that you and I can't even imagine to try to make an impact, even a dent in something this scale. It's going to be really interesting to see. And what they've identified is scientists, activists, and NGOs. Like, that's what Jeff Bezos himself highlighted in the announcement. And he said, he kept this so general, which is cool because it can go in so many directions. And honestly, like, a lot of us we don't know like where this is going to go. Details still to come. But he just said, helping preserve and protect the natural world. Like, so many things could apply to that, and that gives us so much freedom and people so many opportunities inside of this. So it could go in so many different directions. Let people be creative, and you're always going to come out on top. He was right on that one.
Yeah, I like that too. I thought, funding NGOs and nonprofits is not super sexy. That is really where change comes. They're the ones who are breaking it into smaller pieces and saying, like, I think we should focus on this wetland preservation, and that specific part of this problem will then affect this bit and then that bit, and then it'll grow and grow. And, hopefully you get 1,000 people doing that, and you just create all of these little bubbles where climate change and global warming are being fought on the ground level, as opposed to thinking of it as this one giant problem that we just have to solve with this magic, button that we invented.
And then that could change their behavior, the way that they vote, what they ask of the people who are in power. And then you have created a domino effect that has amplified the effect of that little seed investment in a way that, inventing a new machine maybe couldn't. So, the power of human action to amplify these things is we can explore really, really well with something like this. That's what I hope anyway.
It's like, it's so much easier to say, this bad guy, fight the bad guy. There's no bad guy. I mean, we look in the mirror. We are the bad guy. So it's like hard to fight our own nature.
And this is a bad guy who's not going to invade for 20 years in some places. It's not going to invade for 50 years in some places. And it's going to be this slow creeping thing where it's all of a sudden it's like they were just there the whole time. You can't point at that. It doesn't feel like imminent. And we're in this really tough place that, I mean, quite literally, like, our species has never encountered before. I mean, sure, like, things like this have happened on Earth before. They weren't caused by humans because we weren't around back when these things were happening. To us, to our systems, to our minds, like, to our ability to fix things and build tools and work together as a society, totally new, uncharted territory here.
You say it like that, and it actually makes me more excited. Like, it makes me more happy. Like, oh my God, we have this opportunity to make these changes and to do this, like, big systematic ideas that, like, oh, well, maybe we should just never build a dirty power plant again. Like, that seems exciting to me. It's like, oh, what can we do then? If we know these things are bad, what can we do that's exciting? I just get jazzed about it.
I want more people to feel like you do. You know, people talk about, like, when we look out into space, how unique it is to sort of be the only species that realizes our place in everything, and that we can, once you have that knowledge, it lets you act in different ways. And, you know, that something whose habitat is being eradicated because of climate change is not aware of any of these things. They can't enact any change on their own, but we do have a power through this knowledge, and this knowledge is science, this knowledge is climate science, this knowledge is basic physics, and we have the power through that to be aware, just the same way we do look out into space, and to know our place and actually choose to make a mark. And we've done it so many other times in history, taken knowledge and changed our future with it, that we certainly can do it. Just have to do it at a scale that we've never quite tried before.
See, that's exciting. This is going to be all new stuff.
I'm jazzed. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's like those television shows where they're like, we're going to build the biggest bridge ever. And everybody's like, whoa, look at that big crane. And it's like, we're just doing that. But instead of building a bridge or like digging a trench, I mean, we might have to do those things to solve climate change. I don't know. But like, we're doing it globally. I think it's exciting.
There will be trenches involved, surely.
The biggest trenches.
I read a really good book recently called The Uninhabitable Earth. It's by David Wallace Wells. And this is a guy who was walking through life kind of on this tightrope that I was talking about of fear and opportunity. And he's not a climate scientist. He's just a normal guy. He's a writer who is feeling all these feelings and not knowing where to go with them. Like, should he be scared at the end of the world's going to end? Or are those people overreacting and there's some easy way out of this? And he writes this book about taking an honest look at what we are facing and what we're going to do. And he starts talking about how technology can make an impact here. And that's the question of technology is really important here, because technology got us into this. And it's really weird when we start thinking about, oh, okay, well then technology can get us out of it. Because we're just like making the same assumptions, and we have to be really careful we don't make the same mistakes that got us here in the first place. When we start talking about technology and the whole world of technology and people in technology being able to save us, he puts this into scale with the example of carbon capture. Okay, let's just say that like you had a carbon capture machine that was about as complex as a car. So let's say it costs like $30,000 a piece to make a carbon capture machine that you can put out. To just cancel out the carbon that we're putting into the atmosphere with a machine that can capture, on average what we think they can do at this price, we'd need 100 million of them. That would be $30 trillion. $30 trillion, which is 40% of the entire global GDP. That's just to like cancel out what we're currently putting out. If you want to go like take extra carbon out of the atmosphere, which we should actually do because it would buy us some time to make some other changes in the economy, you would need more like a billion of them. That was 100 million for just evening it out. You'd need a billion of these to start pulling negative carbon out. And then you're talking about 4 times or so the total global GDP. This is just for one little piece. So this is why turning to technology is so tough, because again, when we start talking about scale and what we need to do for the size of the problem, we don't have systems that big yet. We've never built something this big. So sure, a carbon capture machine can work, like it can suck carbon out of the air, but a number of them we have to build. Put that in your thinker and sit with it for a minute.
I don't want to sit with it. That sounds really hard. It's really, I think in the end, what we really need is we need to take this $10 billion and we need to use it to call the Vulcans and be like, yo, you guys just need to start showing up, okay? We really need this right now. Where's that from Cochrane? Start building your thing, man. We really need it.
Open the wormhole. Come on through. Let's go.
That's the kind of stuff that I think about when I think about fixing climate problems in general. It's just like, if we just stopped human civilization today, like if we just said, cool. Let's just stop doing this for a minute. The climate would still get worse. And then slowly over millions of years would kind of go back to a normal cycling. But in order to do that, we either need to get rid of humans, which I'm pretty sure we're not on board with, or find some way to live the human experience without impacting all the things that humans want to be doing, the places we live and work. It's like, how do you walk a trail without leaving footprints? It's not going to happen. You just need to leave them as light as possible.
We have to become a carbon neutral economy. But like you said, if we got to 0 emissions today, the climate would continue to change because of what we've already put in the atmosphere and how long that's going to persist. And that's going to be centuries and beyond, to feel those impacts, to get that out of the air. But that's where we have the power to invent things that can buy us time, to plant trees on the trillions scale that can suck carbon out, to build these machines on some scale that can suck carbon out of the air. They're both buying us time and shortening the amount of time that we're going to have to live in this sucky little environment that we've created for ourselves. So it isn't just one thing. Like, it isn't just getting to 0 emissions. It's reeling in that future timeline of bad stuff too, and that's where inventions and science can be an aid. It's just, I feel like a broken record, but they can't. None of these can do it on their own.
Robert Brule from Drexel University, he studies specifically lobbying and just amount of money spent by corporations. Transportation, electric utilities, fossil fuel, oil and gas companies, et cetera, et cetera. And they're spending, one study said, about $3.6 billion, not in a year, from 1986 until 2015.
This wipes the floor.
Yeah, we're looking at a lot more. It could really far outstrip the amount of money spent to get people more interested in global warming issues.
We should be careful to create these godlike saviors of the climate, because the fact so few people can make an impact on the scale of $10 billion, I hope the side effect isn't that people sit back and go, oh, well, Uncle Jeff is taking care of it. I will sit back here with my V10 F250. That's probably not even a real truck. The truck lovers are going to call me out. But you get what I'm going at here.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't sit back and think, Uncle Jeff's got this taken care of, so I don't have to do anything, because he's come to save us. That's why these Bill Gates figures, these Jeff Bezos figures, these Warren Buffett figures are so, I don't know, they have two sides in what their effect can be in an issue like this, because they can huge big splashes of impact, but we have to make sure that the rest of us don't use it as an excuse to stop doing stuff ourselves.
I think the argument for this $10 billion being used to help motivate people as a call to action, as a way to help people who are already impassioned and excited about this problem and how to fix it, that's great. But a lot of what makes movements powerful is that they are shields more than they are swords. So we should be using them to protect and to defend and to build and push. And that's, I think, the best way we can find a use for it.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of power in that dollar. There are places, I think, in the big world of money and investment where it makes sense to say, I demand that you don't do business with these companies that are wrecking the planet. I don't necessarily want my university to do business with that. I don't want the sports teams I love. I don't want the grocery stores that I shop at. But we have made the internet such a fundamental infrastructure of the planet that we're starting to play with really dangerous and potentially dangerous things. And so, yeah, keeping these movements as grassroots and policy-based as possible, I hope, is going to keep it a little bit safer. But yeah, there's a lot of really weird questions that start coming into play here. A lot of weird sci-fi novels that could be written about this. Well, the only other thing I want to know is, I guess we got to fill out an application to get some money from Uncle Jeff, Trace. Let's get on this.
What could you do? Maybe fund some science communicators.
Yeah. Jeff, call me. I'll call you. I'll call you.
Yeah, we'll have people call people. It'll be good.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll stop by the Amazon bookstore here by my house. It's fine. It's fine.
Can I just apply on my Kindle? Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah. Is it Jeff at Amazon.com? Or is it Uncle Jeff at Amazon.com? What's the email? Okay.
So in the end, this $10 billion might go to legislation, it might go to technologies, it might go to research, it might go to all these different things. It's not just gonna solve climate change overnight. The thing is, 10 billion doesn't seem like it's gonna fix everything. What it's gonna do is it's just gonna add more money into the pot to be able to research actual solutions. What research it's gonna fund and what those solutions are, we're not gonna know for quite some time. When you donate money to fix global warming, it doesn't go to Fix Global Warming Inc., and that is the big problem with global warming. It seems like this one giant problem, but it's really not. If you break it down into chunks, it becomes much more solvable, much less cognitively dissonant. For example, over time, we should transition our automobiles from gas to electric. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal, right? On its own. That will help with global warming. Another small thing we could do is transition from eating a lot of meat to eating less meat. Even plant-based meat is better than meat. And that could just mean eating meat one less day a week. That's a really achievable goal. And this actually is easier for us to cognitively wrap our brains around. It seems easier to transition from a gas car to an electric car than solving global warming, right? Doing each of these little things is gonna make a big difference altogether. But it doesn't feel like a big change. It's hard to divest Jeff Bezos' gift from Jeff Bezos, the businessman, right? A lot of us believe that online shopping is somehow dirty, somehow worse than driving ourselves to the store and buying it off the shelves. But it turns out studies show that's not exactly true. An MIT study of online versus traditional shopping found that traditional shopping actually has a larger carbon footprint than brick-and-mortar stores. Think about the millions of individuals in regular brick-and-mortar shopping that have to get into a car, drive across town, park in a big wasted space parking lot that's always there, and enter a store that has to be heated, cooled, and powered even if no one is there to shop in them, even at night. Shopping at home from my PJs means that I don't have to do all those things. They don't need all of that land to be used for parking spaces that just cause urban heat effects. And the truck or van that delivers the product to me is stopping at hundreds of houses on the way. The reverse carpool effect, if you will. I worked at some major retailers over the years. They don't receive dishes and speakers and video games in the boxes that you see on the shelf. They're wrapped in plastic and packing materials. And those boxes, they have their own boxes. Their results say, even with data centers, with the cardboard boxes they have to wrap everything in, with warehouses and distribution centers, and the shipping directly to your door, you're actually using less energy. Honestly, cutting out the middle retailer, the store at the mall, that does suck for the store. And it might suck for the economy, but it doesn't suck for the environment, according to the studies. As long as you don't do super rapid shipping with air delivery, because that kind of wipes out the differences. If for some reason you are not convinced that the advanced primates on this planet are really doing a number on Earth, you should probably check out some documentaries about it on CuriosityStream. There's this really cool documentary series all about the data in the world. There's so much data, and I thought this episode was really good, especially because they get to talk about the nitty-gritty of climate change and what we know about it. CuriosityStream is where you can go to learn about the humans on our planet, as well as the planet itself and the universe that it sits in. They have thousands of documentaries, short and long, and they are my favorite place to watch interesting, thoughtful stuff about science, history, the environment, technology, society, big data, the future of cosmology. You name it, they got it. And you can get a month for free and support this show just by going to curiositystream.com/trace and get the promo code TRACE. You're gonna use it and you're gonna get 1 month for free. It's only $2.99 a month after that, but if you do the annual subscription, you're gonna get a bonus. See, CuriosityStream believes in what I do here at Uno Dos Trace, which I have to say, feels pretty amazing. Thanks, CuriosityStream. And while they send out big film crews to capture huge stories, we also know that there's room for smaller, more targeted storytelling like what I do. And for that, you're gonna wanna use Nebula. Nebula is a creator-owned streaming service. A bunch of us educational creators, we got together and we created like a sanctuary where we could do video experiments and try things without worrying about the algorithm. So what we created is called Nebula. It's a streaming service that we co-own, and it's included with an annual CuriosityStream subscription. Not only do you get CuriosityStream, but you support the making of this episode and future episodes, as well as fun video experiments from creators you know and love with Nebula. So go to curiositystream.com/trace, use the promo code TRACE, and for only $2.99 a month, you're gonna get CuriosityStream's massive library, and you're gonna directly support creators that you already love with Nebula. And that is gonna include this channel and me. curiositystream.com/trace, promo code TRACE, and thanks. When we're children, we don't understand how noise or trash works. We don't understand how it affects those around us or affects us. A baby left to their own devices will literally just throw things everywhere, scream, and dirty up the place. But as we grow and mature, we learn that we can't just ravage everything around us. Society is growing up in an energy capacity. We're realizing that the earth under our feet doesn't last forever, it's not magic, and it doesn't renew itself on its own. We screamed and we clawed to get here with these old technologies, but it's time for us to grow up and treat our home with the respect it deserves, not just for us, but for our kids and our kids' kids and the animals and the plants and everything that will ever live here until the sun burns out. Don't eat as much meat. Don't drive if you don't have to. Bike, walk, take public transit, share cars with other people. If you can volunteer to plant trees to green up a space, do that. Unless, of course, you live somewhere that doesn't naturally have green space, then, plant natural plants. Lend your support to those who want to move society away from coal, natural gas, and other non-renewable resources and toward renewable ones. However you choose to do that is great. Each of these things will cut little carbon bits out of your footprint, and they are all powerful. You can also spend your own money to help. If you say have billions of dollars, maybe throw some support to professional science communicators. We can educate the public about global warming. But also, if you don't have billions, Vox put together a really good list. There's a link in the description that covers clean air, clean energy, rainforest protections, organizing organizations, all sorts of stuff. By the way, if you really want to make change, stop using climate change as a term. Studies show the term global warming actually makes people feel things. Climate change is a term invented by climate change deniers and by PR people. It sounded boring and wonky, and it turned people off to learning more about it. They wanted you to ignore it and not worry about it. Global warming, on the other hand, was talked about by scientists. So, transition. Use that instead. Global warming is not a small thing. It is a big thing. Humans can solve big problems. We have in the past, and we can do it again. We just need to build more renewable energy, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and every field that releases carbon into the atmosphere across our society needs to be adjusted. It's not impossible. Like any big task, we just need to break it into pieces, divide, and conquer. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and thanks to Dr. Joe Hanson. You can find him on It's Okay to Be Smart. You can find him on Twitter at Dr. Joe Hanson. You can find me out there too. I'm at Trace Dominguez. Next video, I promise I will have a more completed studio, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the future.